So good evening, everybody. I'm going to try something just a little bit different today because I know I tend to take a little bit too long with giving everyone the updates. And since some of you say get to the point, some of you say I really like the updates, I'm gonna roll with this. I'm gonna put a timestamp. You can just skip ahead if you want to the meat and bones of the video, but I do have an announcement to make, so stick around if you'd like to hear it. So, I see that you are still here. I do have announcements to make. We're getting there, don't worry. Okay, so we hit our goal. I have over 1,000 subscribers. I got monetized. I started doing this to hit that Dunbar number. If you don't know what the Dunbar number is, that was 150. Apparently that's the amount of people that you're supposed to be able to know by face and name. Anyway, I'm not going into too much detail about that, but I thought if I would get over 150 people subscribed to the channel, that means that I at least had one person out there in the world that liked my content enough to say, hey, I enjoy this, I'm gonna keep subscribing and watching this guy. That number kept growing and we have reached over 1,000 and I'm super excited for that. At this time of recording, I think I've actually got like 1,130. So that's super cool. So I'm learning how to do all the monetization stuff with this video. I'm more than happy to share that with you guys as well. I will go into more detail about this in future videos. I just wanted to thank everybody for subscribing. And if you haven't yet, please do like and subscribe. And I appreciate every one of you guys. So I at least had to put a thank you out there. I felt it to be a disservice if I did not. Moving along, if you did not know, bicycles are scarce right now. I do have some on their way that I want to do some reviews on. Some of the less expensive ones like ATXs and Talons, that kind of stuff. They are coming. I know I promised them and I will get to them, I swear, just as soon as we can get inventory. This time is crazy right now. We are back to racing. We at least did one race. If you didn't see that video, I will leave a link somewhere. We're getting back to group rides. I know a lot of you loved the last group ride video I did. I'm probably gonna do some more of those as well, but let me know what you guys wanna see. That helps tremendously. Let's get to the shop because at the last race I took a tumble. It was a little tumble. I shouldn't even say it was a crash, but screwed up the shifting a little bit on my bike. We're gonna fix that really quickly in this video. Hopefully it's gonna help some of you guys a little bit. That's the update. Thank you all again. And that was a fail. Thank you all again. Let's move on to the bike shop. First things first, we get it up in the bike stand and then we have to debunk why it is shifting weird. Like I said before, I had a stick as I was riding. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I know it got lodged right in between here. So we need to figure out if everything is straight in the rear end. If you start trying to adjust gears compensating for this being bent, it's never gonna shift perfect. And then when you do figure out that it's bent, all that work you just did was for naught. So stand behind your bicycle, make sure that everything is straight. Now when you're trying to see if this is straight, you really wanna look at your derailleur hanger and your cage. You should be able to just look behind your bike and see. It's not that hard. This thing should be perpendicular with the ground. These things aren't particularly made to bend back, but it is possible with a derailleur hanger truer. That's what I call it. That is not the correct term. Let me show you what it looks like. The DAG-1 derailleur hanger alignment gauge. So this thing is not a scientific tool at all. It is very, very basic. You screw this piece in where the derailleur goes in here to the hanger, and then you literally just move this around. As long as your wheel is true, it is gonna at least tell you if your hanger is true. These were actually made for bicycles that had permanent hangers made into their frame, so you had to bend those back. Now with these, all bike companies just recommend that you buy a new hanger. Once you know that everything is straight back here, I do recommend shifting it into the easiest gear and just checking your limit screws, because one of the number one mechanical mishaps, if this thing gets bent a little bit and you didn't get it perfectly straight, your limit screw may not be set 100%. It can actually shift off the back here into your spokes, and then you're gonna be paying a lot more money because you're gonna have to start replacing stuff. So the easy way to check your limit screws is just simply take your thumb and actually put it on the knuckle of the derailleur and try and shift it off yourself. If you can't push that thing off, you're golden. So as you can see, it is shifting kind of funny and everything is straight. So why is it shifting kind of funny? The number one reason why your bike will shift funny is because the cable pull is not correct. So once I learned how an actual derailleur and shifter with a cable works, it made it so much easier adjusting it. And I think it'll help if you kind of understand exactly how they work. Let's do this really quickly and then I'll show you the actual way to adjust your derailleur. So the first thing you need to realize, the internals of this guy operate just like a ratchet. So that is what a shifter is based off of. So you have your shifter here. This is like a bottom up view of it. This is your barrel adjuster here. Cable runs all the way through your housing and it attaches inside here into the ratcheting mechanism. So your cable, when it comes to your derailleur, there's gonna be an anchor bolt. It's usually like a 4mm, sometimes 5, and that cable runs through it, and then you're gonna have your little ferrule on the end there. So your anchor bolt, once you pull this tight, you should shift it and see how it shifts, but if you need to adjust it again, you can do it with your barrel adjuster up top here. So it is basically a screw that is hollow in the center, and you have your cable running through that screw and it goes into your shifter. When you start, I always start in the hardest gear on the bike when I'm trying to adjust the gears and I shift up 1. If it doesn't shift up 1, you know you need more tension on the cable. So if you're wanting to add tension, you're going to unscrew it because what that is essentially going to do is going to create a gap in between the barrel adjuster and your shifter. It's going to unscrew the screw. So it's gonna put more tension on the cable. So the more you unscrew your barrel adjuster or unscrew the screw, it is going to assist that rear derailleur in going up the cassette. That's how easy it is. All right, now that you are an expert in how this system works, easiest way, shift it into the hardest gear on the bike. The spring that is actually in this rear derailleur is always made to pull it to the hardest gear on the bike. So that's why if you take off all the tension from a rear derailleur, it's just gonna jam down into the hardest gear on the bike. So let's start there. Once you're in this gear, shift up 1 time. Nothing happens. So we're gonna start there since nothing happened. So ideally, especially at a bike shop, what they're gonna do, you wanna run this all the way in so you have maximal adjustment in case you're out on the trail. That's kind of what this barrel adjuster's for. Back here, you're gonna loosen this bolt up. It's a 4mm. Pull as much slack as you possibly can out of it. This is gonna ensure that you have maximal adjustment at your barrel adjuster. So once you have the slack taken out back here from the anchor bolts, what this little guy's called, go ahead and shift it up 1 gear. It shifts now, it's good, but it's not perfect. Shift it up again, and keep shifting it until the shifting gets really bad, and that's what we're gonna focus on. All right, did you hear it? It's getting worse. So since I had to pull slack out of this cable, I think since I'm shifting up the cassette, I need to just fine tune it and pull a little bit more slack. So ideally you want this pulley back here to be running through the center of the chain. But since you can't stand back here and look the entire time you're shifting it, you can do it with your hearing. So you can hear that it's kind of misshifting or trying not to stay in that gear. So let's just take some slack out until that noise goes away. And once you can hear that it is shifting good in all the gears, I start back at the bottom and work my way up gear by gear, making sure that it goes into each gear and goes into it properly. Then you want to come back down, do the same thing. Oh, a few other reasons why your shifting can be terrible. Your chain can be dirty, your housing can be dirty, your cable can be actually frayed in the shifter, and that'll cause some really bad problems. There is bukus of reasons why, but the number one reason why something gets bent back here, or it's a simple adjustment. If you have a brand new bicycle and it's like 3 weeks old, 9 times out of 10 that's cable stretch. And that could be a 5-minute fix if you know what you're doing. Working on derailleurs is fairly easy, but there's no, how do I word this? There's no like, turn the adjuster 4 times for proper shifting. There's no like cable torque spec, if that makes sense, like how tight exactly the cable should be. There's none of that, it's a bicycle. So what you really have to do is play with it. I do a lot of my shifting by sound, because you get so used to how it is supposed to sound. All that just takes practice and takes time. Now, also, if you have anything you want me to go over, feel free, ask away, and I will give you my best answer. Another thing though, what I'm gonna try to do with some of these videos as I break crap on my bike, like my TCR right now, I have to put a new crank in. I'm gonna film it, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened to get to that point, why I'm having to fix it, because I feel like most of this stuff is experience related. So if you know exactly what I went through to have to do something to my bicycle, it might help you. Anyway, love you guys all. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.